Hello and welcome to this edition of Time with Hime. Superintendent Hime, we are in our second week of school. What do you think, sir?
Oh man, it's going great. Hey, we got a new studio. No, it's all going really as well as you could expect. I mean, obviously, I'm new. This is my first year, as with a lot of others, and nobody expected to. Back in when I took this position, nobody expected us to have the situation we have. But again, I've probably said this numerous times, but the wonderful staff from top to bottom of Lawton Public Schools has made this as seamless and as easy as possible. I mean, when I tell my colleagues across the state that we've created a 5,000 plus student virtual school, AM, PM, teacher-paced, student-paced, flexibility across the board, and we've done that all as seamlessly as we've done, they're just amazed. And somebody said, man, you've had to jump through a lot of hoops. I said, no, I've had to watch a lot of great people jump through hoops. And I mean that it's been really wonderful for me to watch the great people at Lawton Public Schools get this done.
We have a lot of dedicated staff, a lot of patient parents. It takes a unit, it takes a village, and we've been able to start our first week successfully.
We're changing bus routes, bus drivers. Cooks are cooking different. I mean, we're serving 10 meals. We're serving virtual students can pick up meals at different places. We're doing breakfast breaks at the secondary level to feed more students that are on campus breakfast. Some teachers are virtual AM, virtual PM. Teachers have had changed positions. We've had teachers change buildings. And the complaint level is from my side, it's at an all-time low. So, it's just really awesome when you talk about how everybody has stepped up to the plate and taken this challenge on.
And you mentioned our night program. I want to give kudos to you because of this recent state board meeting and their announcement of our Return to Learn night plan. What did you think about that?
Yes, it's pretty awesome. The State Department of Education, that State Board of Education, they meet once a month and they honor schools for doing things. In Lawton's Return to Learn with our PM virtual, we're the only school in the state who's offering the PM virtual with teachers available. And again, we put out in one letter, the old saying, we're building the plane while it's flying. But it's new to us too, but it's getting better every day. And we've talked about that. I'm really excited because our people are getting better every day at virtual, and I think we're going to be second to none when we get through with this.
And we've had a lot of great comments and feedbacks from our families and especially our teachers, things that they feel would help improve, and that's been exciting to watch some of their, dynamics change and meeting with the parents and talking with them, the things that they want to implement to make it better for everybody.
Yeah, and I think people have to understand we listen. I mean, it's obviously there's 13,000 plus students, 2,000 employees. We can't just go around and make everybody, make changes every day to trying to make everyone happy. But when people submit questions, when we get emails and different things, we look through those and see if there's some issues there we can address and we can fix. And we do listen and we do address them, in the podcast and in different areas. So, keep your comments coming.
Speaking of feedback from our families, we also had questions about the COVID chart that's out by the state or the recommendation and what that looks like. Can you clarify?
Well, the charts are created by counties, not by zip code, not by area. So, in Lawton's case, there's a lot of different entities around us, a lot of different units, and sometimes the chart shows a color based upon an outbreak that's isolated or is in one certain area. So we work with the health department on that. One thing I've talked to the health department, I want to know the first time somebody is test positive and we believe they contacted it at school. We haven't had that yet, knock on wood. So in this case, we had a couple of areas that were hot spots that didn't have anything to do with Lawton Public Schools. So we didn't have to make any changes due to the color change on the chart.
And the one thing that I think is helping, obviously, are our masks and our kids. What is the feedback you've heard from them?
It's funny. I've walked around schools and still haven't been in enough. Because that's one of the challenges is to get in schools, and you don't want to be in 20 schools in a day because you yourself could be you got to be careful in wearing masks. But all of our leaders are telling us that the kids are handling it with no problems. I mean, they're just wearing masks. They just don't feel like it's a problem. And again, that's a compliment to our students. I think sometimes we got to be careful because people were concerned about a mask mandate and how would your kids wear them and what would it be like and such. And we just don't have high enough expectations for our young people. Our young people know what's going on. They watch the news. They've got cell phones. They want to be in school. So if wearing a mask is a criteria to be in school, they wear their mask. So I've been really excited to see that and to know that didn't become a problem.
And we have mask breaks. We still allow those for some of them, and you might see them, but immediately when they get into a place where they can't socially distance, the masks are back on.
You know, and I don't know of many places it's a big issue because obviously with so many students going virtual and that change, our class sizes are really small right now. And because of that balance, our virtual classes are bigger than we wanted them to be. I was looking today, I don't know that we have very many virtual classes over 30. Now, we have some high school teachers that have 170, 80 students, which is more than they're used to, but still it's virtual. So, we want to work those numbers down so we get more adult student, interaction. But, as we balance out how many students are virtual, how many are traditional, because some people think, if it goes on and we stay healthy and we're not having issues, students will start coming back into the traditional school. Obviously, if there's an outbreak, parents may start keeping their children at home. It's one thing we talked about when we started this, flexibility. And with flexibility, we have to be flexible ourselves and be prepared for the changes we might have to make. But right now, we feel pretty balanced. There's still a couple teachers, teachers have too many students in maybe one or two elementary classes, either virtual or traditional, that we need to work on to get those numbers where we want them. But right now, we're pretty happy with that.
And we're still working on that, so I'm excited to know that we're getting that feedback and making those changes. Child nutrition, what do we want to say about that team? Because they have been pushing on. I know we're feeding them a lot and we're getting them out there, but I think they are owed some credit too.
Well, they're doing a great job. And, and one thing I will say, our child nutrition director, Daniel Greb, he is really standing up for Lawton Public Schools. We work with Sodexo. He actually works for Sodexo, but he's trying to improve and make it best for our students. And that's pretty important because some of the menus, we're working on the menus. We're going to put out some surveys and have some poll anywheres, especially where our secondary students, they can start, voting on did they like this? Because, if we serve a meal and students don't like it, why would we serve it again? Why would we not just clear that off the menu for the rest of the year? And if it's something students like, why would we not serve it more often as long as it meets, the criteria as a reimbursable meal? And so, we're going to work hard to try to give the students some input on what their choices are in the food we're serving so that more students eat. Same way with breakfast. We're feeding breakfast at the break. Sodexo, one of the parts with the contract is all students eat breakfast free. So we want students to eat breakfast, but kids are finicky. I mean, mine are grown, you have some. If you put something in front of them they don't want to eat, they're not going to eat it whether it's free or not. And if we're putting food in front of students at 9 o'clock, 8:30, and they're not eating it and it's free, we need to change what we're putting in front of them and find something they will eat that's healthy and meets the guidelines.
One thing I'm excited about for you talk about football season every time. So what's happening this Friday and what do you want to share?
Well, first of all, I was a football coach for 20 years.
That's right.
So sometimes people hear me joke and say, what other sport is there? I like all sports. And it's one thing I do is travel. But football season starts Friday night. With the COVID virus, with what's going on, it does bring some challenges to us. And so bear with us as we try this. Our intention is not to sell tickets at the gate. And we have it where we've limited, especially for the inner city games, 500 tickets on both sides. Now, if you see teachers and all, we're not talking about 500 people. People who have passes, the teachers and such, they don't count against the 500. So as we go through this, the players and parents, which includes band and cheerleader parents, can get their tickets on Mondays, and then the students on Tuesday and Wednesdays and the public on Thursdays for those Friday night home inner city games. Obviously, when we start playing Thursday games, it'll be a little different, but we're going to send tickets to the visitors. from my talk, most visitors don't sell 500 tickets. So we'll have to work with that because selling tickets at the gate causes congestion. And congestion is one of the things you want to stay away from in this. We want to keep that social distance. So, and we may adjust and decide we need to sell tickets at the gate. But right now, we're not going to sell tickets at the gate. And we'll see how that goes the first couple of weeks as we move forward.
And we'll definitely notify you and let you know what we're doing and when we make those changes. But as it stands, we'll follow the schedule as shown and hopefully see everybody that we can. And we also have it streamed.
Yes.
So,
yes, and hopefully all the, and that's something we've got to work with, make sure we're getting as many games as possible streamed. And we've talked about this. We talked about this a month ago, that this year is about competition. We want to allow the kids to compete. So we're going to do what we can for them to compete. That's why the parents get the tickets first. The families of, again, cheerleaders, band, anybody who has a student participating in that event, they get tickets, and they get the first choice to buy their tickets, and then the students, because it's about the students. Now, there's a couple things there. If a student is 8th grade or under, they must enter with a parent. They're expected to stay with their parent. That'll be a change because, I've coached. I've never been an administrator at a Lawton football game, but at the other sites I've been, the football game can be a great babysitter. You pay $5, let your student out at 6:30, pick them up at 10 o'clock. That's a pretty good rate for those of us that used to have kids. It's not that. Right. You have to go with them, and they have to sit with you. Masks are required at the events because it's a city ordinance, and it's Cameron and Lawton schools.
Right.
Now, the suggestion is if you're sitting there by yourself, and I've said this before, and you're watching the game, drinking and you have your mask down, no one's going to say anything to you if you're social distance. If you start standing up and yelling, obviously, when you're yelling, you go over 6 feet, you're now 12, 18, 20 feet in a stadium with tiered. You can be
asked.
A lot of people. Mm-hmm. So then we really want you to wear your mask if you're going to be one of those people like myself, because now that I have 2 teams on the field, I'm going to have to figure out how do I not cheer for one. It's going to be a challenge, but how do you not yell and get excited about what's going on? So if you're going to be one of those like I will be, except for on the inner city games, I will have to wear a mask at the other games. So, we're going to work with people. It's outside. We want to make it best for fans, but again, it's about those young ladies and men in all of our sporting events getting to compete.
And one big question for the families that do attend, concessions?
Yes, we will have concessions, and it'll be prepackaged items and then drinks.
All right. Is there anything that we haven't talked about this past week that you want to share with our families?
Rumors, again, because everything changes every day. It's a new, we kind of, we laugh about it a little bit in the office. And again, we got a great team at Shoemaker, and the leadership team's great, just the same as, we're all in this together. But we have conversations about what could be, and then you hear rumors about they're going to close this school, they're going to close that school. Again, we feel pretty good where we're at right now. We would like to stay steady. We may make some small tweaks here and there, but as far as, first of all, we've always said we're not going to close the school. We didn't close Adams. We didn't close Washington. We just located those students somewhere else so that we could use those as virtual centers. But as of right now, we have no major changes like that on the books. So
we did move one set of teachers, though, just
yes.
to a wing, so that might have caused some confusion.
Sure, because Thomason's numbers are down, and we also, the GT program, I believe they call it ACTS,
yes,
was at Thomason, and they had some space there. And obviously, we're not shipping kids in and bringing kids from all over the district into one area. So we moved the ACTS teachers are doing other things in other buildings. And so we took that space to make that where the middle school virtual teachers could be located and have some good space. And that can cause rumors. And everybody wants to know, so it's very difficult. Well, when are they going to close school? How many quarantines? I hear superintendents. So what's your rule? If we get 5% positive, if we get, our rule is to stay in close contact with the health department. If students and staff start testing positive as a result of being at school, then we would look at it. But until that becomes an issue, shutting down school is not on our plate, because we know that we have lots of students who need to be in school, and face-to-face learning is what they need. And so we're going to do everything we can to keep that going. And right now, everybody's wearing masks. We see people all over there using hand sanitizers. Our students do a really good job of social distancing. I just really feel good about where we're at. Again, I don't feel good about the coronavirus and those things,
Right.
but how we're handling it, from our first graders, our pre-K kids, to our bus drivers and cafeteria workers, we're doing a great job.
And I can say, as a parent and not as an administrator, mine are both in school, and they are so glad to be with their peers and love their teachers and are just so excited to be in that environment. But they know what the safety measures are, and they follow it, and they remind me before they leave the house, I need my mask, Mom, don't forget this. So thank you to all our teachers and to our support staff that are in the buildings every day, because our kids are just so excited to have you there and be available. So on behalf of my kids and, our superintendent and administrators, thank you guys for what you're doing. We truly appreciate it. Mr. Hime, anything else before we end our podcast?
No, thank you guys again, and stay tuned. We're going to try to keep communication. Parents are going to have questions. We have questions, and we try to work together to come up with answers. So continue to share your questions and concerns, and we'll continue to try to act upon those at the best interest of our student body.
You have our social media accounts right here on your screen, INFO at Lawton PS at any time, and you can always ask us questions on our Ask LPS form. Until then, Mr. Hime, have a great week.
You too.
You guys, we'll see you next time. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend.
Oh, yeah, Labor
That's
Day
right.
weekend.
We
Hey,
have a
everybody
holiday.
enjoy them, but wash your hands, social distancing, and wear a mask when you're in public.
That's right. Stay safe. See you later.